Are these cars even worth the grind? If you are somehow a beginner who is just happening to grind the hell out of your life, maybe you need to step back. Maybe give up on this car entirely or just rethink the notion here. So first up, when you look at this event, according to this poll of mine, 366 of you participated and 91% of you feel appalled by it. Whatever your reason may be, but before we get into the problem part of it, we need to look at what this event has in store for us. First up, we have Renault DeZir. When you look at the stat of this car, aside from the top speed, which is good, all the stats are under 70. 65 acceleration, 68 handling and 67 nitro. The top speed is 305 km per hour. The acceleration coupled with the handling and drifting just make it like awful. The nitro stat is just meh. While the acceleration is bad, the nitro also does not help it much. This car is not really useful to use like anywhere. Think of it as a glorified Volkswagen XL. I don't know why they call it XL because the car is pretty small. Forget it. I would pick cars like DS E10s, Lotus Elise or BMW i8 Roadster anytime over this car. -1 out of 10. When the engine of this car roars, the W16 faint. Next up, we have Infiniti Project Black S or Project White S, as some of you referred this in my garage video. This car is sluggish. It is just meant to be a collector car. The top speed is 293 km per hour. The acceleration at 76 is just too low. The handling and drifting is just not something that you would be pleased by. Nitro is good but really of no use. Now I feel pity for people who grinded hard in its car hunt to get it because stat wise it is just not worth it. Even if you grind in the showroom for this car, it is still not worth it. While it looks good, it is just too sluggish to use. I also have recommended not to spend token on this car. -0.5 out of 10. Next up, we have Renault Trezor. And if you ask me, GameLove has done a lot of injustice with this car. It looks gorgeous but it has no merits to deliver. And this is why it has been thrown away in showroom event. The car was released in September 2021 as a Legend Pass car during electric season, but there was a glitch with the pack and people managed to max it out without any problem. As for the stat, the car manages to go at the speed of 307 km per hour. To sum it all up, a user named LoinCat72 summarized it pretty decently. The top speed is decent, acceleration okay, handling average, drifting wide, and the nitro, he said not bad, and I would say it is of no use at this point given the rest of the stats of this car. -0.7 out of 10. Maybe out of 100. It is just not useful. Next up, we have Honda Civic Type R. I have mentioned this previously that I like this car in real life, the 2018 generation of it, but in game, while it looks like that 2018 generation, the performance is meh. I have this car at 2 star and at max, besides acceleration, the top speed is 297 km per hour, the acceleration is 82 which is decent. The handling and drifting are stiff and the nitro stat at 62 is fine. But these don't really save the car much. If you go for BMW i8 Roadster instead of this car, I would say that BMW is generally better. 1 out of 10. Next up, we have Lotus Emira. The Lotus Emira goes at the speed of 538 km per hour. Wait, I need to clean the lens of my glasses. Oh sorry, I don't even wear the glasses. But jokes aside for a while. In reality, the Lotus Emira does not have anything that should be addressed. It was given away during the British tour season. I would say it is pretty iconic in real life and I liked it, but in game it is just meh. So not gonna waste your time with this one. 1.5 out of 10. Next up, we have Renault RS01. This car is also from Renault family and I would question it a whole lot. For the stat, the top speed is only 326 km per hour. The acceleration at 80 is decent. The handling and drifting are not worth mentioning. The radius is pretty wide and the nitro is just fine, I would say. People disagree with me, but I would still say that the performance of this car is atrocious. 1.5 out of 10. Next up, we have Lamborghini Miura Concept. And the good thing about this car is that you can get good chunk of tokens as well as key for the car from the showroom event. It's not the production Miura which is present in Asphalt 8, this is the concept version for some reason. It sits at higher end of class C and it boosts a fairly decent top speed of 360 km per hour. Now a lot of you might be familiar that Huracan manages to go at the speed of 358 km per hour. Yeah. This car is going faster than the Huracan. Its acceleration is just 72, which is downright awful and is the major drawback for this car. The handling is fine and the drifting is okay. But there is another issue, which is nitro. The nitro efficiency leaves a lot to be desired. And with such a poor acceleration, the lack of strong nitro makes it hard to maintain its top speed. Most of the time, you will find yourself cruising between 305 to 320 km per hour. In a rating-based multiplayer system, it may not work out for you, and I guess this is a part of the reason that why GameLove actually actually threw this car in a showroom event because it's not really useful. As for the rank-based multiplayer system, I do not really see this car much of a use. So, iconic car in real life but way too many compromises in the game. 2 out of 10. Next up, we have Aston Martin V12 Speedster. This ugly car is just a paywall in any given special event. This is the only rare and used scenario for this car. Stat-wise, it is just nothing special. The top speed is 325 km per hour, the acceleration at 80 is decent. The handling is just fine and the drifting is worse. It loses ton of a speed and the nitro, while it is not bad, but since it loses speed pretty easily, the nitro does not help to recover the speed all the time. Stats are not the only bummer for this car. It looks ugly as well. It is like just another useless addition in Class C which you will not use anywhere when you max it until you specifically needed it. Besides, I would like to ask those of you who have this car at max, how often do you really use it? Whatever the answer might be, my opinion is that I do not really see myself using it, and I do not really see this car in multiplayer either. We free-to-play buddies prefer our good old Acura a lot. 2 out of 10. Next up, we have Bolwell MKX Nagari 500. This car is also one of the least performing in its class and another example of a car that you will not use unless you specifically need it. It is decidedly mediocre and I don't think that I should waste too much of your time talking about it because it is not needed. 2 out of 10. Next up, we have Saleen S1. This car is something that I would question it a whole lot. When I look at the stat of this car, the combination sort of remind me of Ferrari 488 GTB or like Corvette Grand Sport. Weird thing, but it happens for some reason. But one thing for sure, this car is not damaged like Corvette in any way. The acceleration stat of this car is 76, the handling is 81 which is pretty decent but it feels like a little stiff for drifting, and the nitro stat is at 73. Speaking of nitro, this car has perfect nitro boost. The car manages to go at the speed of 317 km per hour and with the perfect nitro boost, it goes 326 km per hour. Now when it comes to going for this car, the answer does not feel like straight up yes or no. Not because it is a complicated thing to answer, but the thing is that there is nothing that justifies the urgency to go for this car. That I would say heck yeah, go for it, but no. Rather it is like this. There are so many contenders like this car which you may already have, so unless you need this car specifically, you can rely upon the rest of the options pretty easily. The same goes with this car and multiplayer. Just average 2 out of 10. Next up is Ferrari Monza SP. And if I'm being honest, I really can't believe that they released this car as a Legend Pass car. It is the worst version of Ferrari F12 TDF in Class C. The speed of this car is 333 km per hour. The drifting is so much pain in the butt that you are better with using the Ferrari 599 XX Evo, and if you don't have that, then Pininfarina i2 speed would be the best option. Even Arteaga is pretty good to be honest. I won't really recommend spending token on this car, and if you get this car from showroom event, there is a pretty much no better or viable usage for it. On internet, I did not find any review of this car, and the pain in the butt which this car is to drive, I would say that you are better off not having it. This is like the niche scenario where you don't really need this car unless you specifically need this car. 2.5 out of 10. Next up, we have Nio EP9. A slightly better version of Nissan GTR to be honest, but in itself, the Nio is not so much amazing at this point. It's not like anything that you would use in Platinum League multiplayer or rank-based multiplayer, maybe, but not a whole lot. The car only manages to go at the speed of 339 km per hour. The car has acceleration at 83. The handling and drifting is better and the nitro is strong. Now the performance is strong but the speed is very low, which kind of invalidates the whole notion of going for it. This is why you don't really see this car much, and it also does not feel essential unless you specifically need this car. 3 out of 10. Next up, we have Dodge Viper ACR. This is the classic OG car. It used to be bad but later on it got a big buff and now it is one of the best old car in Class C. The car goes at the speed of 317 km per hour. The acceleration stat at 77 is quite low, but this car has extremely good handling and drifting and the nitro efficiency is stellar. The weak point for this car is low acceleration, but it is not so much of a problem since the other stats are very good. The car is very easy to obtain even without the showroom event. If any beginner watching this, then I would say that you should definitely unlock it, but try not to spend token on on it. 4 out of 10. Next we have Lotus Elise Sprint, which is like a cutie car. The car can do a lot with little to none effort. When you compare the BMW i8 Roadster with Lotus Elise Sprint, the BMW is just slightly faster. Primarily I would say because of its perfect nitro boost. The Elise goes at the top speed of 282 km per hour. The acceleration at 82 is pretty capable, not gonna lie. The handling is smooth and the drifting is tight, just like the i8. And the nitro is long lasting. But the problem with the Elise is not that it does not have the perfect nitro boost, but that when in shockwave you just can't turn. With every progressive nitro from single to perfect, double and shockwave, the handling keeps getting worse. So it just acts like a boat in one way or the other. So overall I would give this car 4 out of 10. Next we have BMW i8 Roadster. Iconic car in real life and too much OP in the game. The only good thing about DS3 on its release is this car. This car is so much well functioned that even though it is not the fastest, it is enough. The car goes at the speed of 290 km per hour with nitro and 300 km per hour with perfect nitro boost. The acceleration at 78, even though it is lacking, but it feels enough due to strong nitro efficiency. The handling and drifting are extremely good. This car is a good competitor to the Lotus Elise Sprint, and if you are habitual of using the Elise, then with this car you would dominate. If not all the competition, but then most of it. 4.5 out of 10. And while we are at it, let me know, Elise or i8, which one would you pick? Next we have Volkswagen W12. I would say that on the face of it, it is pretty capable car, but the most shortcoming this car has is its nitro and low acceleration. The car goes at the speed of 385 km per hour, which makes it one of the top tier car in its class, and it competes decently with A-class car as well. The acceleration at 79 is very low. The handling stat at 84 is good. It is extremely nimble to drive with good drifting radius, and the 54 nitro stat is pretty low. Now when it comes to driving this car, you really need to be skilled at your game because it has low nitro and low acceleration. Overall I would pick the F1M any day over this car. This car is pretty capable, but if you give me option to pick one from Lotus ER9 and this car, then that would be this car. 7.5 out of 10. Next we have Vanda Electric Dendrobium. Here I would like to know your first thought. What kind of very initial impression you have for this car? Positive or negative? Either way, this car does not need introduction. If you're not familiar with this car, then this car has the perfect nitro boost, which makes it go 363 km per hour. The acceleration at 86 is definitely powerful. The handling is smooth as butter and the drifting is sharper as a Damascus knife. Is this reference even relatable? Let me know. And the nitro is not something like you say it's plenty. It just never ends. And the car drives so effortlessly that you don't even need to do much to steer this car. And this is what brings, I would say, the downside for this car. Since it is this much easy to drive, everyone spam this car. Either way, love it or hate it, this car deserves 7.6 out of 10. Last but certainly not least, we have the Lamborghini Sian FKP 37. Lamborghini Sian FKP is the most OP car and is one of the most suitable car to collect after collecting Ultima RS in the special hunt. But that does not mean it is obtainable. We will discuss the attainability later. This car holds the strongest position for any Lamborghini in the game. It was added in the game in 2020. It is more of a like to the Batista of Class S. To put it in simple words, it's a Vanda of Class S. The Sian reaches a top speed of 393 km per hour with its perfect nitro boost. Its acceleration stat is 82, which is respectable, and combined with exceptional handling and superb drifting, this car performs incredibly well. The nitro stat is also long lasting, which complements its perfect nitro speed, making it more of a dominant car in a rating-based multiplayer system. Unfortunately, in a rank-based multiplayer system, the Sian is not available to use. Now, when it comes to going for this car, I would recommend getting it only through the Legends store. It's not worth spending a huge amount of tokens on, and the showroom event of this car is... we will discuss that next. So grabbing it from the Legends store is the best way to get your hands on this iconic Lamborghini, but there's a bummer that it is available at the last garage level. Well, I can't say much about that. 9 out of 10. Now let's come to the issue with the showroom event. The main issue with the showroom event is the fuel system. You may ask how. Well, let me explain. For C and D class car, it is manageable. You can set reminders and steadily earn reward. But for B, A or S class car, it becomes a nightmare. With only 3 fuels that take 3 to 4 hours to refill and the restriction of playing the stages with a single car, it slowed down the progress a lot. And don't even get me started with the Lamborghini Sian FKP. You are expected to complete 900 to 1300 condition with just 3 fuels every 6 hours. In this dire situation, unless you get yourself spammed with ad, it's almost impossible. Honestly, it feels like Gameloft does not expect me to have a life or just deny me my right of a living. But if they just remove the fueling system, every problem with the showroom event will be fixed. I don't mind showroom event with 2000 condition to complete. Just remove the fueling system and I'm good to go. If the showroom event has a good car and requires 2500 condition to fulfill with no fueling system, I will play a ton, spend token on ticket refill and complete it. Now a lot of people have put this request to address the problem with the showroom event, and in my opinion the fueling system was the main problem. Now I might have missed if there are more, but the problem is that ever since I got access to Ronnie's account, I have all the cars in the showroom event accomplished, except few useless ones. So do let me know if I have messed up anywhere. As for now, I won't advise you to go for any car in the showroom event, and if you make that choice, be aware of the grind that you might have to do. If you want to progress further in the game without showroom suffering and as a free to play player, then make sure to check out this video next.